All right, so we got the car in the booth here. We got it taped up. We got it cleaned up. We just hit it with some glass cleaner and wax and grease remover. We're only spraying about half of the part, well, the car and some of the parts today. We're going to do the rest of it on another day. We don't have so much space and just for time purposes. But anyway, pretty much the car's pretty much ready to go. We're going to suit up. We're about to spray a sealer on here. One coat of this medium gray sealer should cover well. If not, we'll put another coat. We got plenty of it. After that, we hit our base, mixes 1 to 1. We're going to do our clear, which is 4 to 1 to 1. Planning on 3 coats of clear. We'll see how much we got left. Well, I still got to leave a little bit for the other parts. 3 coats of clear should do it. That way we got some room for, it's inevitable we'll probably get some bugs and dirt. We're not in a downdraft paint booth, obviously. So with that being the case, we'll put 3 coats on. That way if we got to cut the buff a little, we should still have plenty of material left. It is a high builds clear, high solids clear, so I'm not concerned about that. We're spraying out a DV1 B plus for our seal on our base. We're probably going to be shooting around between 16 and 18 psi on it's a B plus. We'll spray our seal on our base with that. Then we're going to come back and we'll spray our clear with our DV1C gun. Really good guns. I've only used this clear one other time with that gun. I'm still dialing it in, but I just gotta remember to take my time. It's really warm out today, so that should hopefully work to our advantage. We're just gonna get to it. I'm not gonna talk much after this. I might throw in some voiceovers here, but all right, let's go ahead and get to it, and we're gonna get shooting. We're gonna probably wet the floor down a little bit, just try and mitigate some dust. I don't like doing that, but it's probably gonna be our best option today. Wet the floor down a little bit, and then we're gonna hit it with a tack rag. We're gonna get suited up. We're gonna get spraying. Right, so at this point, we're getting into spraying our sealer. We're gonna be spraying it again out of a DV1 B plus cap 1.3 tip at 16 psi on the digital display, which of course is different than inlet pressure. Just keep that in mind. I run my guns fan wide open, fluid wide open. That's for all my guns. Okay, so this is just a ready to spray sealer that I get from the local distributor. That I went with a medium gray sealer for this because I feel like it's going to be the best foundation for my base coat. You have to keep in mind that your undercoats, under your base can change your base color a little bit, or at the very least just make it harder to cover. You have to put more coats of material on to get your full color. So medium gray, I feel like it would be good for this this dark green metallic. Metallics are generally a little more transparent than your standard bases. So like obviously this green wouldn't cover like a raw black bumper cover like it would this gray. Gray's usually good, good to go with. You can do different shades of gray, but they generally cover all your different body works and colors that'll be on the foundation, and they're usually generally pretty easy to cover with whatever base you go with. So so what your sealer does is it pretty much just kind of ties all your body work together. Especially on a car like this, you've got multiple colors. You got some stock color showing through. You got some primer showing through. I've got some new aftermarket parts, like a new front bumper that's black. Sealer will also help with adhesion, especially on like I just said, plastic parts like bumper covers. But generally, it just ties everything together and gives you a nice uniform foundation. And it kind of bridges. It'll fill in some inconsistencies in your material, and it kind of just ties everything together, gives you a good foundation. It'll help kind of bridge together like breakthroughs or different transitions in primers and like overstock paints, stuff like that. But it's always good to use a sealer when you can, just to have a good foundation to go off of. Sealer is generally pretty cheap, and it's one coat and done generally. I spray it just like I spray my bases, and it lays out nice and flat and uniform. And so yeah, anytime I can incorporate sealer into a paint job, I pretty much seal everything. The only time I don't seal was like on the blend panel. But here we are, we're starting at the bottom on this side and working our way up and over and down. Just because it's so hot, I want to make sure I just want to make sure I keep a wet edge. So that's why we're spraying it like this. that's what we're doing. One coat of this, we'll give it just enough time to flash off and dull down, and then we'll jump right into our base. Get into our base. Again, we're using the same gun, same setup. Spraying this at a 75% overlap. This is a 1-to-1 mixture base. 1 part base, 1 part reducer. Tip, special metallics, but on all my bases, I use a slow reducer. Quality reducer, not the cheapest one you can find. That's going to help your metallics lay out easier. Metallics are a little harder to lay out. You can get blotching and striping, modeling. Go with a slow reducer. That's going to help that. And work on your, a good gun helps out with atomization of that. Work on your gun settings and a 75% overlap, and that should take care if you're having with any metallic issues. If that doesn't do it, on my last coat, I'll bump it up about 10 pounds back off the panel and do a light dust coat. We didn't have to do that on this paint in the car, but that is something you can do if you need to. I'm painting from the bottom up just to try to keep it wettish because it's really hot out on this day. I'm not a bottom up painter. I like to go top down. So muscle memory was just kind of messing with me here. Had a little bit of trouble getting it laid down. I've done 3 coats. Took 3 coats to get full coverage. I checked with my sunlight and to make sure I had full coverage. I actually ended up doing 4 coats on this car. That's because after my 3rd coat I checked and I had got some water on the driver's side into the base and it had caused some problems on the base. So I had to let the 3rd coat fully dry. I took 600 grit paper on just with a hand pad and I just lightly scuffed and got all those imperfections out. I don't know if I sweat in it or if I drug water from the hose into the material. That's why I usually don't like wetting the floor. Either way, it is what it is. Last coat, I let it fully dry. I sanded the imperfections out and we put a 4th coat on. After that, we were good to go. So after that, after my last coat, I'll let that flash off. I'll give my last coat about, in between coats, as soon as I'm done, if I'm doing it all over, by the time I'm done with 1 coat, I mix up some more paint, I can pretty much start over again, especially on a hot day like this. It flashes off so fast. Anyway, just let it flash off and dull out. Give it 5-10 minutes if you want. On the last coat, I'll give it about 30 minutes to fully flash before I jump into my clear. Okay, clear coat time. I'm using a high solids clear, so this one is actually a 4-to-1 mixture. I'm using a DV1C clear coat gun. Again, fan wide open, fluid wide open. I'm shooting this at, I think I sprayed it at a 1.3 tip. I ended up dialing this clear in later on with a 1.2 tip at 21 pounds on the gauge is what done it for me with this clear. But different ones I'll spray it a little bit different. I play with my air pressure, my tip size. But anyway, so I done 3 coats. I spray a coat. I'll again, generally by the time I'm done with 1 coat, it's about time to start over. I'll touch a spot on a masking paper or tape or somewhere that's inconspicuous, kind of see if it's getting tacky, and then if it is, I'll jump to the next coat. Done 3 coats of this, and the result was pretty good. Now, as you notice here, we are getting a lot of overspray lingering around. We're still dialing in this paint room. It's relatively new to us. After this, as you can see, it's just getting really foggy in here, and this is not really ideal. You can't see what you're doing, and it's really not good to just be your body to be swimming around in all these chemicals. I'm protecting myself best I can with a respirator and that paint suit, but there's still some skin that is exposed, and it is a chemical, guys. So keep that in mind. Your body is absorbing that stuff through your skin or through anything else. So this is less than ideal, but once I started spraying, I just had to commit to it. I couldn't quit at that point. Before this, I did upgrade the fan. After this here, talking from the future now, I added a few more inlet filters, which seemed to help. but it helped out a lot, but I still need to dial it in a little more. But you know, it's a work in progress. We got the job done, and that's all that matters. But guys, you know, just make sure you keep your health at top priority. But anyway, so you're not really going to be able to get to see much here. You know, you know, clear's a lot different than spraying bases. I'll say that. But anyway, we got it on. We did what we had to do, and you know, the end result was pretty good. But yeah, your clears is to make a nice shiny flat finish. You have to spray it on heavy enough to where it flows out, but not too heavy to where it runs. You know, if you're getting dry or the kind of dull finishes, that's rough. You're not putting it on heavy enough. So it's just a fine balance. It really just comes with experience and practice. So you know, if you're having trouble with your clear, just keep working at it. You know, adjust your spraying speed, your overlaps, your distance, and your gun setup. But just play around with it, you'll get it. But 3 coats and we were done with the clear. All right, so now the car is painted, and unfortunately, when I went to get the car a couple days later from the paint booth, I brought the camera. I was gonna show you my initial thoughts about it, gonna mask it and everything, but I brought the camera, forgot the SD card. So at this point, I'm back at home with the car, and it's actually been here about a week. I've been letting it sit out in the sun and cure, so it's dirty. I wiped one side down with some detail just to kind of show you what we got. But let's go over our initial impressions of it. And I've already started working on a little bit of stuff, so let's just go ahead and talk about it, and then we'll talk about what we're going to do from here. So this is the car, and the lighting in here sucks. So, but it really shows the kind of the hue of the color. It's kind of a greenish blue metallic. Like I said, the car is really dirty. I just wiped it this one side down with some detail real quick. But look at the other side. I hadn't wiped the other side down, but here's the top. Haven't wiped the other side down. See all the dirt over here. So it probably looks great, and unfortunately that's because the camera hides a lot of stuff. But I'm being transparent with you guys. It's got a lot of flaws, and I'm not a professional. I don't paint every day. I probably average maybe 1 car a year. It's been some years I've done 5 or 6. I've went 5 or 6 years without doing any. So anyway, I just don't keep enough practice to really stay really good at it. Plus, I've got some newer equipment. I'm using some different materials, trying some different things out. So it's a little learning curve on that as well. But anyway, let's talk about what we got. So the car's painted. We've got the whole body of the car is done. The headlights are cleared. We still have to do the hood, the trunk, the back and front bumper. Reason being, the trunk and the hood still need a little bit more work. The bumpers haven't been prepped out yet. And I had a little window of time. The car needed to be painted, so I didn't have to worry about any flash rusting or anything. And as hot as it's been lately, and the size of the paint booth, I kind of wanted to break it up into 2 separate sessions. And another reason being, I wanted to paint my fender jams and my trunk jams, because I had to re-seam seal on this trunk, so all this needed to be painted, and it wouldn't have been possible, well, cleanly with the trunk on. So, initial thoughts. The base coat laid out great. This metallic laid out great, nice and uniform. A lot of that comes down to having an efficient gun, technique, stuff like that. But being a cheaper base coat, this is the second time I've used this brand of base coat. I've been impressed with it both times. First time was a Pearl, and it looked great. And second time was this car, and it looked great. You know, we went a little cheaper on the base coat, clear. We went with a quality high solids clear, so I'm not worried about that. And the clear is really where you want to be concerned at. That's your protection for the finish. Okay, that's what's going to protect the UV, which is what kills paint. So let's talk about some of the flaws. This side, you know, a lot of this is just dirt, but you know, we've got nibs. You can see some of the nibs. Yeah, we did not paint this car in a paint booth, so we've got nibs and dirt and stuff like that. So this part of the car I have clean. You can see that's a little streaky. That shows from the detailer, but like you can see, like, you know, there and there, spots like that, you know. But you know, that's just a part of it. It's not a big deal. All that's in the clear, so that can be wet sand and buffed out. Now this fender, I went ahead and done some wet sanding and compounding on this fender, and it looks, you can tell it looks a lot better. So here's me in the door, me in the fender, me in the door, me in the fender, and this is just wet sand and just compound, just our initial cut. We'll come back and refine all this, but it looks pretty good in here. But so that's kind of what we can expect for the rest of the car. But again, you know, you might see some haziness. This is gonna all be refined. This is just our initial cut and buff. So that's where we're gonna go. I'm gonna do the rest of the car, and I feel like it's gonna look pretty good. So I'm happy with how the car came out. I really am. Even the bodywork looks really good. There's a spot or two that, you know, I can see it, you know, something, but man, the average person wouldn't notice. That quarter panel over there ain't perfect because it was bad, but other than that, all the bodywork looks really good. I'm really surprised. I'm really happy. Look down and see how straight it is. There's one little spot on this body line here, but other than that, it looks really good. I don't know if you remember just how many dents were on this car, but it was a lot. We'll look down the other side one more time. There's a quarter panel. Again, this side's dusty, but this is this quarter panel. It looks pretty good, pretty good. It's not perfect, but I didn't expect it to be. Yeah, I could have kept going and just spending more and more and more time, but at some point you gotta say, okay, this is good enough. We were ready to paint it. You know, I'm not gonna throw something really crappy out there, but it's a beater car. I'm not gonna make a show car paint job out of it. Just not gonna do that. I'm happy with the product, the finish that I got versus the time and the money I put into it. But that's where I'm at on this car right now. I'm gonna continue to cut and buff all this stuff now that you've seen it in its current state, and I'll do a whole video on that process. But other than that, we're gonna get this other part sprayed, and we'll start throwing this thing together, man, and you get to see the finished product on it. And I appreciate you guys for sticking around. I'm hoping you learned something. Again, I'm not a professional, but you know, just happened to turn out some pretty decent stuff for, you know, for what it is, some backyard stuff. But anyway, hoping you guys enjoying it, and we'll see you really soon on the next one.